broadcaster with a national and international reach. Experience the difference with Luntha Television, where innovation meets experience. Authenticated team backed by cutting-edge technology, endeavors and services. We offer among this production and broadcasting of jingles, music videos, narratives, documentaries, press services and programs on location or outside, live broadcasting of mass and other church functions, government or indoor functions, and political rallies, creation and broadcasting of special programs, sponsored content, sports and entertainment, and advertising for small, medium and large enterprises. All services are offered at competitive prices. Tune in daily to catch Luntha Television on Zuko on Channel 51, Starsat Channel 474, Star Times Channel 474, Topstar 474, Kriye 007, GoTV on Channel 807, Azam on Channel 386, and live streams on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. You can find us in Area 2 Lilongwe or can reach us on 0883 815 055. Come, let us help you grow your business. Luntha Television stands as an autonomous faith-based broadcaster with a national and international reach. Experience the difference with Luntha Television, where innovation meets experience. Authenticated team backed by cutting-edge technology ensures seamless execution and unparalleled results. Luntha guarantees credibility and professionalism in all its endeavors and services. We offer among this production and broadcasting of jingles, music videos, narratives, documentaries, press services and programs on location.
Mawa bwino kono samene mukwanira kanema owaluntha mawa uno ndithu amene takhala kupatsani wa programu osiyanasiyana. Ndi tsiku la lero tikupitirizanso tikupatsirani zokambirana zimene zochitika ku nyumba ya malamulo. Ndiye tinapumira kaye ichi chigawo chachiwiri chimene ndithu chofuna kuti chiyambe ku nyumba imeneyi ya malamulo ku Lilongwe timene timati August House. Ndiye ine dzina langa ndi Fales Chizombe, ndili pano kufuna kukulandirani kuti tikupititseni ndithu kumeneko ku nyumba ya malamulo kuti mupitirize kutsatira bwinobwino zokambirana zimene zikuchitika makamaka mawa uno tsiku la lero. Ndiye ku parliament mawa utaona kuti kumachitika zosiyanasiyana kukambirananso ndithu nkhani zosiyanasiyana maka nkhani imene namanga nthenje ndi nkhani imene ikuchitika mdziko muno makamaka ku nkhani yokhudza ngozi zogwa madzidzidzi. Monga tonse tikudziwira kuti mdziko muno mukuchitika ndithu mvula imene ikugwa kwambiri komanso madera osiyanasiyana akhudzidwa kwambiri ndi mvula imeneyi komanso madzi osefukira amene ena ndithu manyumba awo agwa ngakhalenso masukulu nawonso agwa. Ndiye nyumba imeneyi tinaona aphungu wa nyumba ya malamulo amenewa ndithu akudowa West amene ara Richard Chimwendo Banda kuyimirira nyumba ya malamulo kufunsa ndithu nduna ya maboma ang'onoang'ono kuti achitepo kanthu poona kuti nawonso kudera lawo akhudzidwa ndi vuto limeneli kuti masukulu agwa komanso mabridge kumene nawonso ndithu awonongeka. Ndiye nkuyankha kwawo amenewa ndithu nduna ya maboma ang'onoang'ono wa Ben Phiri anafotokoza kuti izonsezi zikudakachitika mdziko muno komanso nyumba zidakagwa, misewu idakawonongeka, mabridge adakadukabe komano nzokuti pa ground pali anthu amene akuona zonsezi komanso kutsatira bwino zonsezi ndipo kunena zoti pali chilinganizo chokuti akaona mene zinthu zawonongekera apezenso njira kuti kodi ngati boma lichitepo motani komanso lithandize motani makamaka ku nkhani ya misewu ngakhalenso m'masukulu. Ndi pamene tikupatsirani chigawo chachiwiri ndikupemphera kuti mukhale pamenepo nanunso kuti mutsatire kuti kodi zokambirana zikhale zikupitirira motani mu nyumba imeneyi ndithu ya malamulo. Tinonanso kuti ayi pali nkhani zina zingapo zimene aphungu akuyenera kuti akambirane mu nyumba imeneyi, zimene zikufunika kuti ndithu apeze njira komanso aonekirane bwino. Ndiye posachedwa apa tikhale kutengerani ku nyumba ya malamulo kumeneko ndithu ku parliament mu mzinda wa Lilongwe kuti inu mupitirize kutsatira ndithu bwino lomwe zokambirana zimene zikuchitika ku nyumbayi.
Luntha Television stands as an autonomous faith-based broadcaster with a national and international reach. Experience the difference with Luntha Television, where innovation meets experience. Our dedicated team, backed by cutting-edge technology, ensures seamless execution and unparalleled results. Luntha guarantees credibility and professionalism in all its endeavors and services. We offer, among this, production and broadcasting of jingles, music videos, narratives, documentaries, press services and programs on location or outside, live broadcasting of mass and other church functions, government or NGO functions, and political rallies, creation and broadcasting of special programs, sponsored content, sports and entertainment, and advertising for small, medium and large enterprises. All services are offered at competitive prices. Tune in daily to catch Luntha Television on Zuko on Channel 51, Starsat Channel 474, Star Times Channel 474, Topstar 474, Priyekilie 007, GoTV on Channel 807, Azam on Channel 386, and live streams on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. You can find us in Area 2 Lilongwe or can reach us on 0883 815 055. Come, let us help you grow your business. Luntha Television stands as an autonomous faith-based broadcaster with a national and international reach. Experience the difference with Luntha Television, where innovation meets experience. Our dedicated team, backed by cutting-edge technology, ensures seamless execution and unparalleled results. Luntha guarantees credibility and professionalism in all its endeavors and services. We offer, among this, production and broadcasting of jingles, music videos, narratives, documentaries, press services and programs on location or outside, live broadcasting of mass and other church functions, government or NGO functions, and political rallies, creation and broadcasting of special programs, sponsored content, sports and entertainment, and advertising for small, medium and large enterprises. All services are offered at competitive prices. Tune in daily to catch Luntha Television on Zuko on Channel 51, Starsat Channel 474, Star Times Channel 474, Topstar 474, Priyekilie 007, GoTV on Channel 807, Azam on Channel 386, and live streams on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. You can find us in Area 2 Lilongwe or can reach us on 0883 815 055. Come, let us help you.
Ndiye munga ndinofotokoza kuti tikhale tikutengerani ku nyumba imeneyi ya malamulo kuti tipitirize kutsatira bwino lomwe zokambirana zimene zikuchitika ku nyumba ya malamulo kuchokera ndithu kwa aphungu athu. Mu nyumba imeneyi mukambirana ndithu mukambidwa nkhani zosiyanasiyana zofunikira makamaka ku mtundu wathu uno wa Malawi. Monga tonse tikudziwa kuti kunjaku nkhani imene yavuta kwambiri ndi nkhani ya madzi, komanso ndithu masukulu ambirimbiri mdziko muno akhudzidwa ndi ngozi imene ndithu ya madzi osefukira nga chifukwa chokuti mvula ndithu ikugwa mowirikiza. Ndiye masukulu ena awonongeka, ngakhale nyumba zawonongeka, komanso misewu yawonongeka. Ndiye imeneyi ndi public interest ndithu, ndi zinthu zimene zakhudza dziko lonse. Ndiye ku nyumba ya malamulo akukambirana, apitizanso ndithu kukambirana kuti kodi ngati unduna mboma ang'ono uchite zotani, uchitepo bwanji kuti aonetsetse kuti misewu yakonzedwa, komanso ngakhale ana asukulu athandizidwa pakuti tikupita ndithu ku nthawi yokuti ana amenewa akhale ndithu akulemba mayeso m'masukulu m'menemu. Ndiye kugowa masukulu kumeneku kuli nkuthekera posokoneza, komano khumbokhumbo lilipo lokuti anthu adziwe kuti kodi ngati boma lichite motani komanso lithandize bwanji masukulu amene akhudzidwa ndi kuwonongeka komanso chifukwa cha mvula. Ndiye kumeneko ku nyumba malamulo zokambirana zikhale zikupitirira posachedwa apa kuti tione kuti kodi chitsogolo anthu akambirane motani, makamaka aphungu ku nyumbayi achite ndithu mokambirana motani. Ndiye mukhale pamenepo mutsatire kuno lomwe kuti mumve kuti kodi ziganizo kamene chilinganizo chake chikhale ndithu motani. Ndiye musasunthe, mukhale pamenepo posachedwa apa tikhale kutengerani ku nyumba imene ya malamulo pamene chigawo chachiwiri cha zokambirana za nyumbayi chikuyamba. Mukhale pamenepo ndi kutsatira bwino lomwe.
Response to floods and also evacuation and everything. Secondly, procurement of rescue equipment such as boats. I hope the minister is taking notes. Procurement of rescue equipment such as boats and the helicopters by the Minister of Homeland Security as well as Minister of Defense. I don't think as a country we should fail to do that. I don't think so. Particularly looking at the flood issue as a perennial problem, which has been recurrent every year. Also, Honorable Speaker, procurement of for storage of data regarding flooding by our universities, University of Malawi, Nzuzu University, and the MAST in particular, the Department of Geological Survey, and the Department of Disaster Management under the OPC, as well as even Parliament. These institutions need to document information regarding flooding. I was going to give an example of Australia, which had the floods covering the size of Portugal in 2011. But if you visit their website today, you'll find all the videos available on YouTube and other online platforms. But if you ask about floods that happened in Malawi just 3-4 years ago, you'll not find anything apart from short videos captured by phone cameras. And that is not good for our future planning regarding our response to floods. I would therefore like to, when time comes, that this House should do, before we rise for this budgetary meeting, make a provision for the responsible agencies and institutions to procure all these and other necessary gadgets and equipment for our proper response to flooding in the future. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me finish by saying that a response to a recurrent flooding situation cannot be distribution of maize every now and again. Those people cannot sleep in the bags of maize. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before I come to your point of order, let me recognize my senior.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am a bit lost on what we are doing. I thought my brother would have moved a motion so that the House should adopt it, and if it's adopted, then it forms part and parcel of the resolution of this House. But if it's coming like a ministerial statement, normally a ministerial statement is the information and it ends there. But what he is actually saying needed us as a House to agree so that this thing should move forward. I submit.
Thank you, Honorable, my senior there. I think the Honorable member from Kotakota Central was bringing the matter under Standing Order 14, so that the matter is discussed and debated in the House. Unless if there's a specific action that he wants to be done, then we can ask the Honorable member to bring it in form of a motion. But if it's for discussions, I think Standing Order 14 is the right standing order which we have advised him to do. And normally that would require the minister either to respond or bring a statement. And I thought since the minister, the leader has already prepared the statement, I thought it would just be wasting time to start the process again. But if there is a specific issue that the member would like to happen, then he has to bring it in form of a motion. But otherwise, if it's for discussions and debate and find a way forward, I think Standing for Order 14 will do the job. Thank you, my senior. Yes, Rumpi
West.
Rumpi West.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I did submit my issue concerning these issues which are on the floor concerning the flooding in Rumpi district, as well as Rumpi West, Standing Order 14 on Monday. I wanted to find out whether it had its defects that it cannot be considered, because I'm wondering the procedure that we are taking now, that when there's an issue on Standing Order 14, it takes ages for you to be considered. How will my issues about the affected people in Muhuju, Borero, Hewe, Mwazisi, even Poka, where the flooding has displaced many, will be considered in the ministerial statement if I'm not recognized having submitted my issue. I was looking for your guidance whether you will consider my issue next week or not. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Rumpi West. Did you fill a form?
I did.
When was that?
Monday.
Okay.
And it was submitted through the table clerks. I saw it. Maybe they threw it down. They can check.
Yeah. Let the table clerks check for that. But at the same time, once the minister gives a statement, I will give you the floor so that you can also air your concerns out. The same goes with Kotakota Central. I will give you a floor so that you can, if there's something that the statement did not address, you can come in and say what you have to say. So I hope that is in order.
Thank you, Speaker, sir. That is in order.
Thank you, Rumpi West.
Government business, budget motion, as moved by the Honorable Minister of Finance, Economic Planning and Decentralization on 27th February 2026.
Leader.
Right Honorable Speaker, you did guide earlier on that when we walk in after health break, we'll continue with the presentation of cluster reports. And I thought that's where we are. So we now give it to the chairpersons of the cluster that did not present. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Leader. Cluster Committee chairpersons. I see Palombe South. I'll give you the floor, Palombe South. Palombe South, you have 20 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for according us this opportunity. Cluster number 1 on agriculture and natural resources to present a cluster report today. On behalf of the Cluster Committee on Agriculture and Natural Resources, I stand here to present the key findings of Cluster Committee number 1, following through analysis of the 2025, 2026, and 2026 and 2027 financial years. Your cluster was tasked to analyze votes 190, 275, 470, and 490, which focused on key institutions under agriculture, natural resources, environment, mining, and energy as follows: National Herbarium and Botanical Gardens, Malawi Mining Investment Company, Malawi Mining Regulatory Authority, Malawi Environmental Protection Authority, Atomic Energy Regulatory Authority, Ministry of Energy and Mining, Ministry of Natural Resources, Ministry of Agriculture and Water Development, ADMAC, National Food Reserve Agency, Small Farmers Fertilizer Revolving Fund, National Water Regulatory Authority, Cannabis Regulatory Authority, Cotton Council of Malawi, and Pesticides Control Board. Mr. Speaker, sir, across the votes reviewed, the committee observed a recurring pattern of inadequate funding, delayed disbursements, and weak implementation capacity, all of which continue to undermine service delivery and national development. Mr. Speaker, sir, let me begin with the Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change and its key agencies and departments. Vote 470, Ministry of Natural Resources and Climate Change. In the 2025-2026 financial year, the ministry had a revised allocation of approximately 25.210 billion, while in the 2026-2027 financial year, the allocation has been reduced to 22.985 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee notes with concern that this reduction comes at a time when the country is facing escalating climate shocks and inconsistencies, environmental degradation, and increasing demand for sustainable natural resource management. The committee further observed that ministry continues to face critical challenges, including adequate and predictable funding, high staff vacancy levels, weak infrastructure, and declining financing, which has declined 6.28 billion to 3 billion. However, Mr. Speaker, sir, the committee commends the government for prioritizing meteorological services, which are critical for early warning systems and climate resilience. However, there is still a need to assist the meteorological department with an additional 200 million for office rehabilitation. Mr. Speaker, sir, your cluster therefore recommends as follows: Treasury should consider increasing funding to the ministry, particularly for core departments. There is need for urgent recruitment to be undertaken to fill critical vacancies. For instance, the recruitment of forestry guards at the Department of Forestry and development financing should be enhanced to support climate adaptation programs. Climate change financing should be a priority as it provides resources for early warning systems, climate resilience, infrastructure, and disaster preparedness and recovery. On vote 275, Mr. Speaker, sir, National Herbarium and Botanical Gardens, the committee also reviewed the National Herbarium and Botanical Gardens. The NHBG received 514 million in 2025-2026, which was disbursed late by December 2025, significantly affecting implementation of its operations. The 2026-2027 allocation remains inadequate, with a funding gap of approximately 1.3 billion. The institution faces governance challenges, including the absence of a board, critical staff shortages, and dilapidated infrastructure. The committee strongly recommends allocation of an additional 857.7 million to cater for recruitment of key staff, architectural designs for the 3 botanic gardens in Lilongwe, Nzuzu, and Zomba, and rehabilitation of its infrastructures. Currently, the botanic gardens is renting offices. They also need a waiver to recruit key staff. Currently, there is no accountant, no internal auditor, and they have only 3 scientists, and everything is being done by the CEO who is in place. An urgent reconstitution of the board is needed. On vote 275, Mr. Speaker, sir, again, MEPA, Malawi Environmental Protection Authority. MEPA plays a central role in safeguarding environmental compliance. MEPA was allocated approximately 1.4 billion in 2025-2026, increasing slightly to 1.7 billion in 2026-2027, but this remains insufficient. Despite funding challenges, MEPA achieved over 90% budget utilization, demonstrating commendable efficiency. However, it operates with only 17 staff against a requirement of 92, and severe mobility challenges, including lack of utility vehicles. MEPA has no vehicle, even one, and officers use personal vehicles for operations. The committee therefore recommends that MEPA should be allocated with a deficit of 2.9 billion to address the resource gap. The need to recruit critical staff and procurement of at least 3 utility vehicles to strengthen enforcement. Mr. Speaker, sir, as Malawi is developing rapidly and our mining activities are almost everywhere in the country, environmental protection must not be compromised. On Atomic Energy Regulatory Authority, AERA, Mr. Speaker, sir, this is one institution that most people don't know about. This remains one of the least recognized yet critical important institutions. Its role is regulating radiation in healthcare, construction, and emerging technologies essential for public safety. As at February 2026, AELA had received a total funding of 374.4 million out of its total budget of 791.1 million in the 2025-2026 financial year. In the 2026-2027 financial year, AELA ideal budget was 2.4 billion, but it has only been allocated with a ceiling of 695.6 million. Considering the importance of the institution, the committee recommends allocation of an additional 1.3 billion for infrastructure, staffing, and public awareness. Mr. Speaker, sir, as Malawi modernizes, regulatory readiness must keep pace with technology advancement. On mining and energy sector, Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to present an analysis from the mining and energy sector and its related agencies and departments. On vote 490, Minister of Energy and Mining, the ministry received 56 billion in 2025-2026, with a modest increase projected for 2026-2027. However, the increase falls far below the 410 billion required for key projects, including electricity generation, rural electrification, MAREP 9 and 10, and infrastructure resilience of Kapichila and Patamanga. Your committee was, however, pleased with the progress in electrification and renewable energy initiatives, but key challenges remain. For instance, project delays and low fund absorption, high cost of power generation, non-cost reflective tariffs, vandalism of energy infrastructure, and non-payment of electricity bills by public institutions. Mr. Speaker, On this, let me say that we have seen throughout our analysis that MDAs are allocated utility funds, yet they are failing to pay institutions like ESCOM. We have the MDF, Malawi Prison Services, Malawi Prison MBC, and all water boards across the country, among others, failing to clear the bills with ESCOM. And yet they have been allocated utility funds. How can ESCOM perform efficiently in such circumstances? Your committee therefore makes the following recommendation. All MDS should be installed with prepaid meters. This will address the challenge of non-payment of the bills. Expedited implementation of NHA projects like the Mpatamanga Core project. The need to enforce laws, particularly the Electricity Amendment Act, to curb vandalism in the energy sector. And additionally, your cluster recommends the need to review the marriage. Your cluster noted that much emphasis is given to distribution, which was commendable. However, looking at the rate that Malawi is developing and urbanizing, there is need to relook at our generation capacity. The cluster therefore urges government to strengthen investment in power generation, transmission, and rehabilitation of the energy infrastructure. Now turning to the mining sector, a sector widely viewed as a driver of future economic growth. I'm disappointed to tell this House that our country, Malawi, has not yet started mining. Mining hii ndi hapa kama chabe, sitina yambe epo. Yet I will explain why it is Yet I will explain off in a minute. Malawi has not yet meaningfully taken off in mining, with the sector contributing only 0.8% to the GDP, despite having precious and scarce minerals. Mr. Speaker, sir, take note that the Kasia Rutile project, for instance, it is confirmed as one of the largest natural rutile deposits in the world, with major critical minerals. We believe that Malawians should be able to appreciate greater positive changes on the ground for possessing one of the major critical minerals in the world. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is a lot to be done in the mining sector as a country. We need to get very serious. Your cluster observed that the mining sector lacks its geological data. The country depends on external investors for exploration, and there is no adequate equipment to verify mineral findings. This situation places Malawi at a disadvantage in negotiations and resource management. Mr. Speaker, sir, while the establishment of Malawi Mining Investment Company, MAMICO, is commendable, the institution has not effectively operationalized yet, lacks strategic direction, and risks becoming a physical burden if not restructured. At the same time, MMRA faces a funding shortfall of 1.3 billion, limiting its ability to regulate the sector and curb illegal mining. Your cluster was concerned, Mr. Speaker, sir, that MMRA, which has the capability of generating enough local and foreign revenue, is not able to do so due to its mining fees, which are too low. It is pitiful, Mr. Speaker, sir, that at this moment we have a mining fee worth 10,000 kwacha, and yet the investors are getting millions and billions in proceeds. Having outlined the mining status, your cluster makes the following recommendations. The establishment of MAMICO is a constructive and forward-looking initiative. However, with the reasons mentioned above, MAMICO at the moment is just another institution that will own resources if not properly structured. Additionally, funding MAMICO should have clear strategies that clearly aligns to its purpose and legal mandate. In this regard, MAMICO should focus on investment and not exploration. The Treasury should consider allocating 1.3 billion to MMRA to ensure its efficient and effective operations. The need to review mining fees, fines, licensing, which are too modest, Your cluster recommends that mining fees be revised for both local and international investors should be quoted in US dollars for foreign investors and a minimum of 1 million kwacha for local investors additional. There is a need for MMRA to conduct a benchmarking on the same in neighboring countries. That Treasury should seriously consider allocating additional funds to the geological amounting to 43.9 billion for the following activities: a detailed exploration in the 16 target areas amounting to 10.2 billion to have our own geological data, procurement for exploration equipment amounting to 20.1 billion, procurement of analytical laboratory equipment amounting to 10.9 billion, and Mr. Speaker, sir, rehabilitation of a laboratory and office infrastructure at Kanengo and Zomba offices amounting to 2.7 billion. Mr. Speaker, sir, before I turn to the agriculture sector, I wish to plead with the Minister of Finance and this House that funding the energy and mining sectors is not just beneficial, it is strategically essential. The sector presents untapped national wealth. However, without funding, minerals remains undiscovered or unexploited, or better yet, abused, because we are currently blind. Mining and critical minerals that are being discovered, we are assured that we can generate government revenue, forex exchange, create employment, and ultimately lay a strong foundation solid enough for our generations and those to follow. Likewise, funding the environment sector is strategic investment for the stability of our economy, public health, and long-term development, and should also be seriously considered. Mr. Speaker, sir, allow me to turn to agriculture and its related agencies and departments. Vote 190. Mr. Speaker, sir, the total budget allocation to Ministry of Agriculture increased from 822 billion in 2025-2026 financial year to 971 billion in 2026-2027 financial year, with 317.6 billion going towards ORT, 18.7 billion towards personal emoluments, 531.7 billion towards development part 1, and 103.2 towards billion towards development part 2. The cluster noted that 2026-2027 budget estimates has a total 971.36 billion, which includes 111.45 billion for the Farm Input Subsidy Program, FISIP, representing a 54% reduction from 241 billion in 2025-2026 fiscal year, a cut that risks reducing beneficiary numbers. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster further noted with great concern that irrigation development funding has been slashed by 83.25% from 292.240 billion in the 2025-26 to 48.940 billion, nearly eliminating small-scale irrigation at a time when climate change impacts are felt worldwide. Irrigation serves as essential insurance for our farmers. This cut must be urgently revisited. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster observed that certain allocations under this vote belong to other ministries, like the trade program listed under agriculture but run by the Ministry of Local Government, and outdated projects like National then Region Water Board and Lumpy Water Supply, long expired with no funds. Therefore, EPD and D must relocate these projects to stop inflation, inflating the agriculture budget. Mr. Speaker, sir, The cluster further noted that ministry requires a total addition 275 billion, compromising 265 billion for the agriculture sector and 460 billion for the water sector. The water sector remains heavily and underfunded. Therefore, the cluster recommends that the Treasury should seriously consider these allocations. Mr. Speaker, sir, under the water sector, I draw your attention to the Salima Lilongwe Water Project as a strategic priority. It is without a doubt that current water sources supplying the capital are depleting and forward planning is urgently needed. Lilongwe hosts foreign dignitaries, government functions, but in a special way and in a particular way hosts the #1 citizen of Malawi and a large share of the population. We cannot afford a capital city without water. The project must therefore be prioritized and be funded now. We urge the ministry to allocate the necessary resources. Specifically, the cluster recommends the following additional resources as follows: 105 billion for maize purchases, 121 billion for FISIP, 9 billion for Lilongwe Water Supply Project, $215 million bond financing for Salima Lilongwe Water Supply Project, 9.5 billion for Nkarabe Water Supply Project, and 500 million to facilitate establishment of the fertilizer manufacturing plant. Mr. Speaker, sir, regarding mega farms, the cluster noted with grave concern that the unit owes over 20 billion to the smallholder farmers fertilizer revolving fund and more than 2 billion to NIF due to non-repayment of loans as reported by the ministry. Nevertheless, the mega farms unit has implemented measures to ensure full repayment of every loan, including initiation of legal action and engagement with the Attorney General. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster strongly recommends that ministry should provide adequate support and resources to the mega farms unit to ensure full repayment of all outstanding debts and to enable it carry out its operation effectively. On ADMAC, Mr. Speaker, sir, cluster was informed that for 2025-2026, ADMAC was allocated 53.7 billion, which increased to 60 billion. In 2026-2027. The funds are meant for purchasing of commercial maize and other crops, and has an allocation of 26.7 billion for contract farming activities. This is a welcome progress, and the cluster commends the government for these allocations towards ADMAC recapitalization. Nevertheless, an 80 billion funding gap persists. The cluster urges the government to meet the deficit and prevent ADMAC from resorting to costly bank loans. The cluster further noted that ADMAC receives funding late, forcing it to enter the market late and fail to complete the purchasing process in good time. For instance, in the 2025-2026 financial year budget, ADMAC was allocated 53.7 billion, but received only 5.5 billion for commercial activities, with 2.5 billion funded as late as February 2026, resulting in reduced volumes of commodities purchased. The requisition of a grain drying machine by ADMAC allows it to venture into the market early without worry of high moisture. We therefore urge the government to release funds by April each year, right after the budget has been passed, to enable ADMAC to buy early before the commodities are depleted on the market by vendors. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster was relieved to learn that government has finally indicated that it will assume ADMAC's 2 legacy loans with CDH Bank used for maize procurement to stabilize prices, which are now totaling to 39.6 billion and incurring up to 9.8 billion in annual finance charges. This relief will significantly lighten ADMAC's burden, and cluster is convinced that ADMAC can now effectively fulfill its mandate. on NFRA, National Food Reserve Agency. Mr. Speaker, sir, your cluster observed that NFRA received the following in the 2026-27 financial year. It received 60 billion for maize purchase to replenish the grain reserves and 2.6 billion for operations and rehabilitation of silos. The cluster feels the allocation is inadequate, as it was observed that despite an initial 60 billion allocation in the 2025-2026 financial year, total spending on maize purchase reached 188 billion with an estimated 195 billion in this financial year, in the coming financial year. Mr. Speaker, sir, given the nation's heavy resilience on NFRA for disaster management and emergency food supplies, particularly amid reported floods and dry spells in parts of the southern region, northern region, and across the country, the cluster strongly urges government to revise NFRA's allocation for maize purchases to ensure adequate grain reserves. Speaking of the storage facilities, Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster also noted the agency urgently needs funds to renovate and assess the 8 tilted silos at Kanengo offices, now in critical condition. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster recommends an allocation of 10 billion to NFRA for rehabilitation of the Limbe Transit Depot, which requires critical maintenance. This depot is vital for the southern region, which is prone to floods and dry spells, as it serves government and development partners for storing disaster relief items. We believe that depot also holds strong revenue potential through warehousing rentals and could become a leading warehousing entity with proper management. Given the infrastructure's dire condition and urgent needs, we urge immediate resource allocation to enable timely rehabilitation. Mr. Speaker, sir, cluster further recommends transforming NFRA from a mere agency into a full-fledged authority, thus enabling it to commercialize operations, forge broader partnerships with private entities and international stakeholders. Elevating it to an authority status would grant greater autonomy, enabling market-driven initiatives such as warehousing and commercial grain trading, making it self-sustaining while strengthening national food security. On smallholder farmers' fertilizer revolving fund, Mr. Speaker, sir, to an observation that SFFRM, to effectively fulfill its mandate of importing and stabilizing prices of inputs for smallholder farmers, government support is critical. The cluster recommends that the government, through the central bank, should facilitate the provision of letters of credit to SFFRF-FM for procurement of fertilizers directly from manufacturers, in eliminating costly third-party intermediaries. Mr. Speaker, sir, your cluster was pleased to learn that in the 2024-2025 growing season, SFFRM successfully utilized letters of credit and direct transfers to pay for fertilizer imports. This direct procurement model enabled them to land fertilizer at a low cost of 80,000 kwacha per bag. Mr. Speaker, sir, the cluster observed chronic delays in disbursement of agency fees to SFFRM. Your cluster is of the view that on upfront disbursement is critical to ensure operational readiness and the seamless administration of the program. The cluster recommends that the situation where delays occur, SFFRM should be authorized to utilize a portion of the farmer's contribution, 10,000 per bag, to cover the legitimate operating costs incurred during the administration of FSIP. I'm going to Water Resources Authority. It is encouraging, Mr. Speaker, sir, to note that the allocation to this vote is on a positive trajectory. As the cluster observed that the allocation has increased from 500 million in this year, 2025-2026, to 550 in the next financial year, representing a 10% increase. Given the NWS mandate to manage all along our lakes and rivers, which has most of our hotels and lodges, your cluster is of the view that a share of the hotel's levies collected by the Ministry of Tourism along Lake Malawi should be shared with the National Water Resource Authority. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is also noted with concern that the authority charges excessively low fees rooted in the 2013 prices under the Water Resource Act 2013. This must be revised. On cannabis, Mr. Speaker, sir, total budget allocation of Cannabis Regulatory Authority has increased from 1.2 billion 2025-2026 financial year to 1.47 billion 2026-2027. A 27% increase. However, this allocation is against a required budget estimate of 6 billion, leaving a gap of 4.5 billion. This money should be funded to the Cannabis Regulatory Authority. They need 1.5 billion extra. On Cotton Council of Malawi, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Council has been allocated with 1.7 billion in 2026-2027 financial year, against a requirement of 2.6 billion. This shows a 849 million gap. Mr. Speaker, sir, to revamp Malawi's dying cotton industry, the government must deliberately intensify support to the Cotton Council, including subsidizing input costs for farmers. The cluster noted that high seed prices driven by exchange rates and import taxes pose a major barrier to access the seed. The cluster strongly recommends that the Council should be allocated an additional 4.3 billion to support restructuring. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, on pesticides control, the cluster noted a 10% increase in the allocation of subvention to the board from 463 million in the 2025-2026 to 509 million in the next financial year. However, the cluster is worried that key tasks were not implemented due to resource constraints, such as certifying pesticide plants, disposing of old pesticides, updating biopesticide rules, among others. Enforcement falls short to just 0.6 tons of illegal pesticides. Mr. Speaker, sir, in conclusion, your cluster committee underscores that agriculture remains the backbone of the economy, central to food security, livelihoods, and poverty reduction. As such, consistent investment, timely input support, and strengthened institutions are critical to sustain productivity and national stability. National resources, particularly mining, presents a significant opportunity for economic transformation for a country positioning mining as key driver of growth. It is imperative to strengthen regulatory institutions, curb illegal activities, invest in monitoring systems, and ensure value retention for the benefit of Malawians. There is therefore an urgent need for the government through the Treasury to ensure adequate, timely funding across all institutions. Allow me at this point in time to express my sincere gratitude to your office, Mr. Speaker, sir, and the Secretariat for the unwavering support. Let me also thank the stakeholders that appeared before our cluster committee, and indeed the members of the cluster one committee for their commitment during our meetings. Therefore, on behalf of the cluster number 1 on agriculture and irrigation, Energy and Climate Change committees, submit this report for your noting, and I thank you, and God bless you. God bless Malawi, Mr. Speaker, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Leader, looking at the time, is it okay if we do the statement soon after lunch?
Right, Honorable Speaker, it is perfectly in order.
Thank you, Leader. Palombe South, before you sit, please stand. Would like to clap hands. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. You're doing a good job. That used to be my cluster, and I'm proud of you. Thank you. Honourable members, it is now 12:40. Before I suspend the House, I would like to make an announcement. In the gallery, we have visitors from Kamuzu Academy. Please stand. Beautiful. They have come to watch Honorable Maindalama, who was part of for some time schooling and ended up teaching there. Please stand, Honorable. It is nice to see. Keep it up. You're most welcome. Enjoy your day. We hope that one day Parliament will also visit Kamuzu Academy. Thank you. You may take your seat. Honourable members, we also have St. Edmund Primary School coming from Kodagota Central. St. Edmund, please stand. There you are. Beautiful. You're most welcome. Kodagota Central, thank you for bringing us, our students, to witness Parliament. Thank you so much. Honourable members, it is now 12:43. We suspend the House to 2 o'clock for lunch. House suspended.
Mene ndimene zokambirana chigawo chachiwiri zayendera mu nyumba ya malamulo ndi mukhalenso pomwepo nthawi yathu kuloko pamene akhale yakulowa mchigawo chomaliza kuti tione kuti kodi ku nyumba imeneyi zokambirana zina zimene akhale okambirana kumeneku ndizokhudza chiyani chifukwa kwachitika zokambirana zambirimbiri makamaka nkhani imeneyi yoti pabwere thandizo pamavuto amene alipo kamba kamvula komanso akambakonso nkhani ya fresh inquiry yokhudza ndithu ngozi ya ndege komanso budget ina imene iyikidwe kodi kumeneko ndithu kumbali ya zamigodi ndiye mukhale pamenepo kuti kodi chigawo chachitatu akalowanso mnyumba imeneyi ya malamulo akhale akambirana zotani aphungu amenewa ndiye pano tikhale ndithu tikupatsirani nyimbo zosiyanasiyana mu programu yathu ya nkhomaliro musatalikire mukhale pomwepo mwakomananse.
Luntha Television